Hello, welcome back to Everlasting Summer. So I did more Alyssa choices and then went back into her chapter and then I got up to this part and it's new, so I think this is the good ending. You'll have a chance to find Lena. I was surprised what Alyssa said it absolutely fine with. As if I need Lena, I wouldn't be so sure. And I am sure. Let me decide for myself. Yes? When did you start to do such silly things? About. I suddenly remembered my current age. 17 years ago. Well, admirable. But to be honest, I didn't notice anything like that. What exactly should you have noticed? That you were able to say something without a single doubt. She was absolutely right on this point. And what exactly do you want to hear? You know what? This game of hints could last forever. If you want to know how I feel towards you, then I'll speak frankly. I don't know myself. That's exactly what I'm talking about. Alyssa turned away. What can I do? That's the truth. And what can I do? I don't ask anything of you. Yes? Are you sure? Sure, I answered her after a while. And what were you doing all 7 days in the camp? What was I doing? You were asking, weren't you? What was I asking for? For what reason? Can't you talk in a way that people can understand? The mind readers are on vacation. If you wanted to, you would understand. I can't understand without an explanation. It's okay, it's just idle talk. She stood up and went towards the road. No way. I lost my temper completely, so I jumped up, ran up to her in a couple of strides, grabbed her hand, and pulled her towards me. But I had miscalculated the amount of strength I should use, and we fell to the ground with Alyssa lying beneath me. What, yesterday wasn't enough? Want more? Her face was glowing and her eyes were flashing. I felt really mixed up. I released the girl's hand but didn't stand up at once. I just want to understand. Where did I go wrong? Why are you always thinking that you went wrong somewhere? Because you think so. Who told you that? I didn't. But I can see it. You see everything, don't you? You see and draw conclusions that you shouldn't interfere, that you should lie low, say nothing. I draw conclusions based on logic. Are you sure that logic of yours is correct? I didn't know what to say about that. For some time, we just lay there. I was completely confused, and it seems that Alyssa didn't want to continue our conversation. Finally, she pushed me away and stood up. Why are you here now, with me? Because everyone left the camp and we stayed. I'm not talking about that. Well, because I like you. Finally, I dared to say it directly. Are you sure? And what about Lena? She was always next to you. Maybe she's too much work. And what about me? I'm very simple. Just snap your fingers and I'm in your bed. I wouldn't say it's that simple with her. Don't put words in my mouth. You say nothing, so there's plenty of room there. But you think for a dozen others. Well, she was absolutely right on that point. I didn't think anything like that. So, do I have to just simply believe all of this? You don't have to believe. I'm not forcing you. But it's the truth, so I'm not going to make anything up. Words should be proven with actions. What action is she expecting from me? Well, we could do it again, I said with a stupid smile. I had no idea how I even dared to think of joking in such a situation, especially a joke like that. Sure, come on. Alyssa said in a calm voice, walked to the fire, and started to undress. I jumped up, ran to her, and grabbed her arm. What are you doing? Wait, I didn't mean that. Well, what's the big deal? Don't you need me just for that? Of course not. You got me all wrong. How should I get you then? She pulled her arm free and started crying. I lay down beside her, hugged her, and started patting her head. Everything is alright. Calm down. Leave me alone, she said through the tears, but didn't try to free herself. You see, I had a hard life before this camp. I just haven't gotten used to this. I don't know how to act in situations like this. I've been alone for a long time. No friends, no loved ones. I've just forgotten how to feel and how to love. It's hard for me. It's so much easier not to get mixed up in those matters. Finally, it became just normal not to. And here we are, something I never could have imagined. It doesn't mean that I am an egotistical jerk, although I guess it seems that maybe I am. I just can't do that right away. Alyssa didn't reply and continued crying. But I know one thing for sure. There's nothing between me and Lena. She's a friend, nothing more. I never looked at her that way. And I need you, not only for what you think I want. I just don't know how to tell you the things you want to hear. They carry obligations. You see, I am in the kind of situation now where I don't even I even don't know what will happen to me in the next hour, and here. Alisa seemed to not be listening to me at all, or my excuses just didn't reach her. Well, I should be proud of myself. I made a girl cry. And which girl? Alisa, who at first glance seemed to be a complete stranger to any romantic feelings. You know, I can't make this decision for both of us. I can only say for myself that I am ready to be with you, to support you, to protect you. But you, why do you need me? I have nothing in my soul. I don't know what I want from this life. Besides, I am here now, but tomorrow I may be gone. Alisa stopped crying for a moment. Don't you understand that I already made that decision a long time ago? Then she looked up at me with teary eyes. I might have seen happiness in them for a moment. Alisa embraced me and tenderly kissed me. It was the best kiss of my entire life. No, it wasn't as passionate as the one last night, but there was so much tenderness, trust, and love that I just dissolved in her lips, in her arms. Oh, I forgot about everything, about the camp, about my past, and the doubts which were tormenting me a moment before. She was all that I need, now and forever. Oh, this kiss might have lasted forever, but suddenly a horn sounded nearby, as if from inside my brain. I turned to the road and saw a bus. An old Liaz, it looked like a regular one. We would just wait and looked at it for some time. Soon, the driver left the bus and shouted at us. Hey, lovebirds, this is the last bus to town. Are you coming? Yeah, bus to town. Okay. Shall we go? Alisa said merrily. We jumped up. I grabbed the backpack, took Alisa by the hand, and ran to the bus. Whew. In a couple of seconds, we made ourselves comfortable on the back seat. The driver was shouting something from his place, but I didn't listen to him. Here it is, a rescue ship, heading for a new life. I looked at Alisa. I was so eager to say something, to continue the conversation by the fire. She was sleeping peacefully, resting her head on my shoulder. I didn't wake her up. There was no need. We had so much time ahead of us. There was no one in the bus except us. The bus was going fast, leaving behind not only my previous life, but also the week I had spent in the pioneer camp called Slavyana. I went through more during these 7 days than I had throughout all the years of my real life, and how much was still lying ahead in the future. The common country scenery in the window didn't interest me much. I was just watching Alisa peacefully sleeping. My heart was filled with warmth and calmness, and my head finally stopped bursting with thoughts. But happiness is a fragile matter. Many things can destroy it. Time, for example. The longer your happiness lasts, the more common it becomes. Emotions dull, new problems and worries appear. I felt good, but the accumulated exhaustion didn't let me enjoy the moment. I fell asleep. See, I'm getting old. Ooh, okay. Oh, hey. I turned around and saw a girl standing nearby. Her tone wasn't too polite, but it wasn't hostile either. I liked her performance. Thanks. The darkness of the club prevented me from clearly seeing her face, but I was sure that it was extremely familiar to me. And you. I stepped forward. Exactly. It was Alisa. I froze on the spot, unable to speak. What about me? Nothing. I just thought I'd seen you somewhere. I decided not to jump at her with questions about a pioneer camp. After all, it's possible that this girl mirror looks like her. Or something like that. Anyway, it was obvious that she was seeing me for the first time. Or at least she was pretending to. Well, generally it's true. She peered. My name's Semyon. Forcing an artificial smile, I offered her my hand. I actually know that. How? Read it on the internet. Oh, read it on the internet. Yes, of course. And you are? Alisa. She replied somewhat confusedly. So I was right. But how right was I? Listen, did you ever go to a pioneer camp as a child? No. Why are you asking? It just seemed that I met you there. How could you have met me there if I've never been there? She laughed. Yes, all of you musicians are somehow strange. No doubt. Well, I just wanted to say that your music is not too bad. Alisa turned to leave. I felt that I need to do something, say something. Will you come to our next concert? When? To be honest, I had no idea myself. Soon. Yes, maybe. Send me a message. Yeah, sure. We shared our contact details with each other. Then I'll see you again, probably. Oh. She waved her hand and went out. Obviously, I have no idea if she was that very same Alisa I met in the camp. Any number of theories were nullified by an absolute absence of facts. But at that moment, it was the last thing that concerned me, as I was filled with emotions, both from the concert and meeting Alisa. After all, nothing prevented me from calling her, and then we'll see. I smiled, shouldered my guitar, and started walking to the 410 bus stop with my mates. Oh, good. Yay. Yeah, we met her here in the real world. And they don't remember the camp. It looks like they don't remember the camp, though. They just, yeah. Then they meet each other again in the real world. Uh, mm, mm, mm. Okay, credits play. I can't skip them. This. What the? Have I never seen this before? What? Have I not seen this? I wanted to get away. How could I ever lose in the first round? So go here after I lose? There's no excuse for me. The sports ground seemed to be the best place to go to be alone at the moment. Who would think about playing soccer in the evening? I sat down on a bench near the pitch and started to think about what had happened. Suddenly from the volleyball field side, I started hearing sounds that seemed to me like sounds of rasping or whistling. Turning, I saw someone desperately swinging his hand. Who was he gesturing to? To my astonishment, it was Lena. She was throwing the shuttlecock up in the air and attempted to strike it with the racket. However, to be really honest, she sucked at badminton. I was just watching for a while, but then decided to go up to her. I went around the volleyball court and got inside so that she could see me. Lena was as timid as a deer, so I'd rather not repeat the previous mistakes. Hi. She glanced. Oh, nice shirt. She glanced at me and immediately hit the racket in the shuttlecock behind her back. She's wearing a white shirt too. You like badminton? Not really. I see you're not really getting it. Maybe you want some help? To tell the truth, I was not very good at badminton. Just like any other child, I used to play it from time to time. Let me show you. Thank you. She blushed. I want to join the badminton team, but I don't see it happening really. I wouldn't even try today, but she looked up at me. I never have any luck at cards, but seemed like I was on fire today, so I thought it could be the same with badminton. After these words, I realized that losing to Lena is doubly upsetting. I would never think of you as being so keen on sports. She blushed again. Oh, excuse me. Come on, let me show you. I took the racket, threw the shuttlecock up in the air, and struck it with such strength that it flew over the fence and got lost among the trees. Oh, I'm sorry. Wow, didn't expect that from myself. Never mind. Although it was the last one. The last one? Let's go and get it. But we better not. There is, in the forest. What's in there, a goblin? I laughed out loud. Maybe. It seemed like I was the only one joking around. There's no one there to be afraid of. Come on. Well, if you are with me. Oh. We went out of the sports ground and I started to inspect the trees. All of a sudden, the screech of an owl pierced the night. Ah, whoa. Lena got so scared that she seized me with both hands, giving me something like a hug. The strong grip was a bit awkward. To feel a girl's body and its warmth so close to me, I was filled with tenderness. I had a deep desire to protect her and to guard her from anyone, even if it's only an owl on another night or another nightbird. My only wish was to let this embrace last forever. However, all good things must come to an end sooner or later. After a while, I realized that it was an owlet who was screeching on a branch next to us. It was holding our shuttlecock tightly. Is that what you were so scared of? Uh-huh. Take a look. It isn't scary at all. Lena looked out from behind my back. You're right. Not scary at all. Hey, wait a second. I gently got out of her hug and came closer to the owlet. At first, it seemed that I'd get frightened and fly away, like dropping the shuttlecock. But the owlet was still perching there. I succeeded in grasping the shuttlecock and was carefully taking it from the bird. Hey, look, it's almost tame. Would you like to pet it? Maybe some other time. I handed the shuttlecock to Lena. Thank you. She smiled gently. I have to go. Good luck at badminton. Lena smiled again and hurried away to the camp. How sweet can a girl get? Lena's route, or day, definitely the hardest to start. So many different choices. Okay. What's going on here? Smiled loudly and sat down next to her on the bed. I had absolutely no desire to wake Lena up. It was an unspeakable pleasure just watching how she sleeps. People say that the sleep reveals the true face of a person. I heard a legend that some ancient civilization had a custom. Before getting married, a woman watches her fiancé sleeping for 3 nights, and then she decided whether to marry him or not. Bearing that in mind, I could confidently say that Lena's face showed nothing but goodness, kindness, and childlike naivety. Could this really be the girl that knocked Alisa out yesterday? Well, whatever it may be, everything's already happened, and I've already seen Lena like that. The humility for the first few days, the hysterics back there in the island, the rage at the square yesterday, her passion today. How can one single human cope with so many opposing personality traits? Might it be the case that she really has a double, triple, or even quadruple split personality? I don't know how much time I spent just watching Lena sleeping. It might have been a couple of minutes, or it might have been a couple of hours. Finally, she awakened. Good morning? Lena smiled tenderly. Come here. She rose and hugged me. I didn't resist and plopped down on the bed. You're so wonderful, she whispered in my ear, kissing my neck. You too, but my voice hesitated. Want to do it again? She asked playfully. Hold on. I moved her away gently. You know, all this is anything but simple. When we just met, you seemed to be one person, then you seemed to be another one, and today, now I can't understand at all who you really are. And yet again, what you did to Alisa. Her again! Lena covered up with a blanket and turned away. Didn't you like what we did? Want to do it with her too? Now, I won't hold you back. Come on, compare us. I'll leave you her address. You can tell me who's better, or we can have it. She sounded like she wasn't talking about me or her. Oh, like she was talking about complete strangers. Oh, there you go again. I sighed. Throughout the day, you should have realized that the last person I would think about now would be Alisa. Okay, you're right. She turned to me, smiled, and hugged me tightly. Hold on. I still have to understand. Why? I can't just simply... And yes, I do care. That's why I really need to know who you really are. I'm just me, she answered in the same languid voice. My brakes started to break from all these emotions. I have to calm down somehow. I jumped to my feet and moved across to sit on the opposite bed. Fine, Lena said disappointedly and started to get dressed. I'm not asking for much, just a few answers to a few questions. Waiter, it's time to depart. She interrupted me impassively. What? Where are we going? What do you mean where? Back to town, of course. But you told me. Well, I might have withheld something. In fact, I persuaded Olga Dmitrievna that we still had some extremely urgent matters here and will come later. How would we get to town then? By bus, of course. There are no buses here. I grinned. What do you mean no buses? Of course they are. Route 410. No, I didn't know whether I should believe it or not. The situation seemed to be going out of control, but I wouldn't argue. Okay. I managed cautiously. Come on, get packed. Meet me at the square in 10 minutes. Okay. I gave up asking and left the cabin. Frankly speaking, I had almost nothing to pack. I just tossed my winter clothing into a bag and headed to the square. Lena was already waiting for me there with the gym bag on her shoulder. You don't seem to carry a lot of baggage. It's just enough. She smiled. Let me carry it. Please do. Although her bag seemed almost weightless, a bit of chivalry never hurt anyone. We were walking and Lena was constantly telling jokes, anecdotes, funny stories, and never stopped laughing. Now I'd really lost touch with the person next to me. Is she the one I met a week ago, or the one I saw for the first time this morning? When we reached the bus stop, I took out my mobile phone and checked the time. Surprisingly, there was still some power left. It was almost 11 p.m. Isn't it a bit late for buses? Oh, what is that? Asked Lena curiously. Oh, just a toy. Take it, it's a gift. Thank you. She smiled and took the phone. What can you play on it? You'll work it out yourself later. It's not that hard. Anyway, a mobile phone is totally useless here. Oh. We waited for about half an hour and Lena just kept talking and talking. Well, I must admit that I found her stories amusing and I felt comfortable with her. But what about the bus? So what about... I didn't finish the sentence as I saw the glimmer of headlights in the distance. Ah, here it is! Lena exclaimed enthusiastically. The bus was slowly carrying us away from the Slavyana pioneer camp. I just wanted to believe that we'd never ever go back. The darkness beyond the window prevented us from seeing the road, the woods, or the fields. Actually, it might be the case that they're all long gone, and we're flying through a void towards the unknown. Anyway, I couldn't care less for the surroundings. I just kept listening to Lena. Perhaps she had said more words today than she had throughout her past life. You know, I interrupted her at last. I still don't understand. What exactly? She smiled. How come you could be so hesitant, so humble at first, unable to string two words together, and then, like this? Is it that important? Yes, for me it is. Well, she took a deep breath before answering. You see, I've always been the way you saw me the first time we met. I was like that in public. I wasn't able to live as I wanted to since childhood, so I put on a mask. She went silent. Although, let's not go too deep into that. Lena laughed and cuddled my arm, pressing her body tightly against me. Okay, I get it. It was probably very hard for her to discuss it indeed. Anyway, I got a lot even from such a short explanation. But still, can I be sure you won't turn into that one again? You won't retreat into your shell, won't surrender to your anger and rage. That depends on you. Ulyana smiled shyly. It was just now that I realized that I'm playing a high-stakes game. On the one hand, I spent a week in this obscure world just trying to find some answers. I have nothing to my name and nowhere to return to, darn it. On the other hand, there's this girl who obviously matters so much to me. I almost didn't need to think about whether I had any feelings for Lena. I just wanted to be by her side, look at her, listen to her voice. I liked her the way she was. I assured myself that this is it. The real Lena is in front of me. And now, when these thoughts came back about my past life, my mysterious appearance in an 80s pioneer camp, it's just not the time for such thoughts. I feel good right now being close to her, and I don't want to return anywhere. I don't want any answers. I don't want to think about what's going to happen tomorrow. If it's up to me, then I just want to believe that you'll always be the way you are now, for this is the way I love you. Then I'll keep being this way as long as we're together. She hugged me even tighter. I don't know how long we've been on the road, but Lena's chatter gradually started to quiet down. She put her head on my shoulder, but was still telling me a story about her cat getting into the sleeping medicine, getting dizzy, and wreaking havoc. I slowly started to doze off myself. But still, why did you hit Alisa? She looked at me closely with a serious expression on her face. I always hated that meanie. Lena laughed loudly and nuzzled into my shoulder. Huh? Oh. Women fighting. Yeah. I desperately tried not to fall asleep. It's unknown what's awaiting there after the bus's next turn. It might be a new life waiting for me, or it might be the end of this fairy tale. It'll all be buried in the coffin of the peeling walls and ceiling of my old apartment. But it was a losing battle. Morpheus has summoned legions of monsters under the command of fatigue, exhaustion, desolation, and uncertainty. I had no chance to win the battle against these four horsemen of the apocalypse, and I drifted off to sleep. Okay. Wake up. Consciousness slowly returned to me. It's like I'm falling from a cliff so high that clouds are drifting nearby. The ground is coming closer, but I'm not afraid that I'll die. My fall slows down and my body is smoothly immersed into the warm ether. Ooh, okay. Oh, this one looks good. Whoa! Wow, this is a good CG. Whoa, this is very pretty. I opened my eyes. You'll sleep through your whole life like that. Lena looked at me seriously. What? We're there already? Where's there? I looked around. A bench, the square. Get it. But how? I was on the bus, going to the district center. Why are you looking at me as if you've seen a ghost? Why am I still here? For a second I felt terrible fear. Will I never get out of this place? We were on the bus together. On the bus? Yesterday. Yesterday? Yes, yesterday. Don't you remember? Lena started thinking. Yesterday. I don't remember anything like that. Maybe you just had a bad dream. Considering that all that has happened already seems like a hallucination, this must be a dream within a dream then. Well, let's take it slowly. I tried to think logically. The session ended yesterday. All pioneers left, but we stayed. And then we took a bus and headed to the district center. Lena surely looked perplexed. Are you kidding me? I'm not kidding anyone. Today is the last day. Wait, so how much time have I spent here? Lena started to count off on her fingers. Looks like 7 days. Not 8? It's 7. Definitely 7. I gave an exhausted sigh and covered my face with my hands. Well, that's another riddle in the long list of this camp's mysteries. Well, okay. Though I have a feeling that we won't manage to leave today either. Why? 6th sense. You're acting a bit strange today. I suppose I have my reasons. Want to tell me? I gazed at her attentively. I do. Sure, why not? When I had a real chance to break free from this camp, everything failed. So what do I have to lose now? Now, where do I start? Start from the beginning. Yes, of course. Well, I was born, I studied, married. Okay, I haven't gotten married yet. You still have time. Yes, but... Well, in a few words, like, I'm not from this world. From the look she gave me, it was clear she didn't understand me at all. I came here accidentally, even I don't know how. So what does your world look like? Lena asked seriously. It's virtually the same, but 20 years ahead of your world. Do you already have spaceflight? No. Well, if it comes to that, you have it as well. However, we haven't made any great achievements in that field yet. Sounds interesting. I was unable to tell if Lena was taking me seriously or was just pretending to do so. I used to live in a completely different place as well, far away to the north, judging from the landscape, in a big city. I've never been to the big cities. Maybe that's for the best. Will you show me your house? It seemed like she was taking this conversation as seriously as I was. Well, I'm not even sure it exists in this world. Oh, come on, Lena pouted. Well, sure, I will. So how did you get here? One evening I took a bus, Route 410, and woke up here. I don't know anything more than that. The 410 route, that's the one that stops just outside the camp. Yes, but my 410 travels in another place in time. Are you planning to return? Lena said, and I noticed this note of unhappiness in her voice. I have no idea how to. And if you knew? You're asking tough questions. What's wrong? Nothing, but... You see, I only just recently started to adjust to being here. The first hours in this camp were such a shock for me that I don't know. It's okay, you still have time to think about it. Time to think? It seems that even if Lena believes me, she considers this whole situation just a typical inconvenience and nothing more. Anyway, it's not up to me. Possibly even if I do want to stay. You see, the one who brought me here can take me back as well. I believe that any event in a person's life has a reason. Therefore, you are here for some reason. Maybe. And if you haven't returned, you must be needed here. Well, I can't rule out that interpretation. Hey, time to pack your stuff. The camp leader's voice sounded from afar. Hear that? I don't have much to pack. But I do. So, meet you near the bus. Would you like me to help? Thanks, but there's no need. Lena smiled and ran off towards her cabin. I remained sitting on the bench trying to cope with the shock. My thoughts were still in chaos, one theory replacing another. On one hand, me being unable to get out of this camp isn't all that odd compared to me finding myself here in the first place, but What now? What am I supposed to do? Is there any chance that I can leave camp if I try again? Anyway, what's the point in being nervous? By now I know perfectly well that absolutely nothing is up to me. Maybe I just have to sit back and enjoy the ride? I couldn't help smiling. Especially now when I have an additional reason not to be in any hurry to leave. And that reason is Lena. Maybe she's right, and I am here for some reason. In the end, even if I can narrow down the possible explanations for my situation to a reasonable minimum, there would still be 1,001. And if I keep exhausting myself analyzing them, I'll just go mad. Maybe it's time to make a choice. Maybe this world is not so bad after all. Especially since for the first time in a long time, I have something to live for. It's still a vague something, but still I have it. It exists. And now I have the power not to simply hold it, but to develop it into something bigger. With such thoughts, I stood up and started walking to Olga Dmitrievna's cabin in order to pack my humble belongings and leave the Talking Dog Pioneer Camp forever. Whoa. Ooh. One may think it's strange, and that's exactly how it seemed to me, but eventually we reached the district center. I eventually got tired in the bus and fell asleep. When I woke up, I ran up and down the aisle of the bus, gasping for air, but soon I realized that this long week is over. At last I managed to break free from the camp. All the time I spent there seemed like so much longer than 7 days, and now everything is over. Soon after that, events moved with frightening speed. No time left for self-analysis or seeking answers. Moreover, from time to time, I completely forgot about the camp. Like anyone who found themselves in a completely strange environment. I was completely lost. I had no papers, not even a simple birth certificate, and no skills to earn a living. Professions such as computer specialist or call center operator were not in demand. Lena returned to her normal life. She had to graduate from school and get ready to enter university. The Pioneer Camp was in the south of the USSR, just as I'd assumed. Ulyana lived in a town with population of about 100,000. It was easy to get there by bus from the district center. There was nothing special about the town. One big factory, rows of 5-story houses, wooden huts on the outskirts, a grocery store that closed at 7 p.m., and a supermarket, a true Eden for a shopaholic, with choices including rubber winter shoes, women's sheepskin coats, and men's mustache hats. Before, I would already be trying to run away from a place like this, but now it was my home. Cases of starvation were rare in 20th century Europe. I managed to find a job. I was employed as a turner's assistant in a factory, and was also given a room as a host in a hostel. Over time, this initially difficult and strange job started to bring certain satisfaction. Partially, of course, that came from having the ability to buy food. Time passed, and I climbed up a career ladder, becoming the head of a whole shift. My colleagues were amazed at my talent and persistence, and so was I. Lena graduated from school, and I spent several nights with a calculator designing diagrams of expenses and income, and at last made up my mind to propose to Lena. Yes! I don't remember if it took a lot of time for her to think if she suggested we sign a marriage contract or if she protested because of the lack of a dowry. But in a short time, both of us moved into a communal apartment room near the factory that cost 2/3 of my salary. Thanks to free Soviet education for everyone, or maybe thanks to my wife's persistence, eventually I became a part-time student at the local Polytechnic University. At first I protested, saying that a fair proletarian had no need to act like the lousy intellectuals, but then I came to the conclusion that a diploma would make my life easier. It wasn't difficult to study thanks to my knowledge from my last attempt at receiving a higher education. Time passed and the country started to change. Of course I knew it would happen, but still, the changes came out of the blue. You could compare it to being caught in an avalanche in the mountains. You can prepare all you like, but it will still bury you anyway. The factory was privatized and then closed down. Moonlighting as a private driver in that rattle trap I inherited from my father-in-law was not really a profitable business. I was even ready to apply for a camp leader position in Slavyana when Lena's distant relative died and left us a one-room apartment somewhere else in Central Russia. After a family council, we decided to move. We graded the early 90s in a cramped kitchen in a Krushkaya watching Swan Lake. Thanks to random side jobs, I saved up some money and we decided to move up to a bigger city, and of course I chose my birthplace. We decided to sell the flat and use the money to invest in business. For some time we lived in luxury, buying mink fur coats and expensive foreign cars, dining in restaurants, and taking trips to other countries. Like many others during that time, I had the luck to somehow make it big, starting from the bottom. My business was construction material retail. It was a profitable material at the time because people made excessive money that they wanted to invest in luxurious homes. Maybe such life could have gone on, but the 90s were called rakish for a reason. After encountering rackets and corruption, I was left with an empty refrigerator, an empty wallet, and the bitter taste of blood in my mouth. That was the time I tried to recall my man from the future status. Betting places that were impossible in the Soviet era popped up all over, and I rushed to gamble on everything I knew. However, I faced new disappointments, as matches were won by completely different teams. Even the 1994 World Cup champion was in Brazil. When I was just watching football on TV, everything went as it should. But whenever I spent the last of my money to make a bet even, underdogs began phenomenally beating favorites. As well as that, I tried to pursue the career of a political advisor. However, you don't get accepted into a high position like that without special convictions or anything that would make people interested. I don't know how long I would have gone through this tournament if not for an event which changed everything. Me and Lena had a child. Yes! In a hurry, I started to search for any possible way to earn enough to provide for my family. I remembered some of my father's old friends, and through them, by pretending to be a distant relative myself, I gained a place as a junior data analyst in a bank. At the same time, I made a new attempt to obtain my degree, or to be precise, to finish it. Time passed slowly. The money was just enough to fill our stomachs. I almost lived at work for days, trying to find some time for my exams. Lena stayed at home with the baby. That was when I started writing. I remember it was as if it was yesterday. It was just after midnight, and I was sitting in the kitchen in front of my old, worn-out i386, wildly killing monsters in Doom 2. I wanted to sleep badly, but computer games at least slightly distracted me from the infinity of dull days. When I completed another level, I was suddenly immersed in thoughts about everything I'd gone through during the last few years. It was all too much for one person. That's when I decided to write down everything that had happened to me. I launched the word processor and wrote down about 200 words with the clear intent of continuing tomorrow. However, I didn't remember it tomorrow, nor even a week later. About a month later, Lena, who was typing something on the computer, reminded me of my unfinished book. I reread it and deleted it, terrified. At that moment, I started to doubt if I could ever do it. After all, it was an entire epic novel, and I wasn't even able to string 2 sentences together. In addition, it's not easy to write about yourself. Creative work put on the back burner for now. I celebrated the arrival of the year 2000 as a certified specialist with department head duties. While moving to another apartment, I found my old i386 among the trash that was to be thrown away, and I remembered my intention of writing a book about my life. Ooh. I laughed. How stupid. However, after some time, I opened my laptop and made a sort of draft of a short story about a young man without a definite occupation or aspirations, who finds himself on a different planet. The style, orthography, and punctuation, as well as the idea itself, were matched well to such a silly plot. I showed the story to my wife. She laughed, but said that it was well written and advised me to continue. About a year later, the drawer designated for holding my literary works was full. I found that very odd because I was spending entire days at work, sometimes even during holidays, and I tried to spend all my available free time with my family. However, that's what happened. Around the time I decided to publish my short stories, as with any other beginner's work, most of mine were rejected, but a couple of them were accepted, including my first work. I was over the moon. Of course, I was paid nothing, but my works will be read, meaning that someone will find them interesting. Time passed. We had a second baby now. Oh, during my spare time, I slowly wrote a novel. No, not about my life or the pioneer camp. I decided not to touch upon those themes ever again. Everything that happened years ago seemed to be the will of God, whose charity should not be tempted. Who can tell what would have happened if I hadn't woken up in a bus near the Slavyana camp gates? A year later, the novel was completed. After I'd annoyed almost all known publishers, I managed to reach an agreement with a small company. The editor, an elderly man wearing a ragged tweed jacket and thick spectacles which almost rubbed against his magnificent gray mustache, told me, "Your novel is average, young man. Average, yes, but the idea itself is interesting. Interesting, yes. Well, you need more practice and, more reading, yes." I remembered these words for the rest of my life. I dispensed the copies that were sent to me as a part of my royalty agreement among my friends and colleagues. Lena, who read my novel only after it was published, told me that she really liked it, mostly out of desire to not upset me, I guess. Time passed. The calendar days were unstoppably approaching that day when I was pulled off my usual world and thrown into this life, starting from the mysterious pioneer camp and now ending up here. Now I'm a successful writer, at least according to the number of copies my books have sold, and I have a wonderful life and 2 children. My life has turned 180 degrees. Yay! Midnight tonight is the start of something new. Tomorrow is the day that I was awaiting for so many years. Yay! What are you thinking about? Oh, look at that! Okay, I opened my eyes and saw Lena. She put a cup of tea on the table near an armchair. Firewood was gently crackling in the fireplace and a snowstorm was roaring outside. I wrapped myself up in a white blanket and looked at Lena. Do you know what day it is? No, what day? Do you remember what I told you back there in the camp? No. No wonder. During all these years, I'd never brought up the topic of my mysterious arrival in this world. Do you remember how I told you that I am not from this world? Lena paused. Well, something like that, yes. So today is the day when, many years ago, I got on the 410 bus and woke up at that pioneer camp. So it's an anniversary? Lena smiled. Yes, sort of. Is it a sad celebration for you? No, not at all. And I remember almost nothing about that time. Maybe that's for the best. I added some firewood to the fire and took a mug from the table. Maybe I'll write a novel. You will read it and remember. Do you think that's a good idea? Lena's expression became serious. Indeed, I once promised myself that I would never write about it. Maybe it's not. Maybe, after all, everything that happened is just for us. That's exactly what I think. I sighed and looked at the fire. You know, life is like a candle. Someone's got a short one, someone's got a long one, and it can burn out at any moment. Then our life is like this fireplace. Yes, perhaps. I looked at her and smiled. I'll sleep for a while longer. Lena kissed me and fixed her gaze on the fire in a dreamy manner. My eyes closed and my whole reality compressed itself down to the crackling of the firewood. I started falling slowly, somewhere far away. No, it was not a dream, more like warm ether gently enveloping my entire existence. Whoa. She's pretty. Oh, I like Lena. She's one of the more interesting girls. Ah, every story has its beginning and its end. Every story has its own outline, synopsis, contents, key points, a prologue, and an epilogue. And there is no book which, if you read it again, would not reveal any details you didn't notice before. Every story has its beginning and its end. Almost every. Hmm. Yeah. I like Lena and Slavia. Lena and Slavia are both good. Lena has some good CGs too. I think they liked Lena too. So now what? You think it's only complicated for you. It seems to me that it's hard for you too, but for some reason you don't think so. And what if I told you that I don't have a place to go back to, that since last Monday there is no more life for me, and I have to start from scratch? I don't know. That doesn't sound very reasonable. And it shouldn't, but it's true. And then what? Please explain. I came to this camp by accident. Actually, I'm from another time, perhaps from another world. From the beginning of the 21st century. And I'm older than I seem. I don't really know how I got here. Slavia stared at me, but said nothing. The moments dragged on endlessly. I waited for her to laugh at me, to call me sick, or something even worse. And why are you telling me all this? She finally asked quietly. I want you to understand my situation. But it just sounds stupid. Of course, if I were you, I would react the same way. And what do you expect from me? I don't know. I just felt like I needed to confess. I'm not saying that you're lying and I don't think you're crazy, but you have to understand. I can't just accept it. Yes, I understand. I just thought that it would help you to understand my situation and my motivation for my actions. It didn't, to be honest. I sighed in frustration. In my opinion, it hasn't changed. But you'd better be off. You need to pack your stuff or you'll be late. Let's talk later. I wasn't going to argue. As Slavia hasn't changed her mind after my confession, then it's pointless to press on right now. Distressed, I shuffled off to Olga Dmitrievna's cabin. The camp leader stood at the doorstep and looked like she was waiting for me. Why are you so gloomy? Did something happen? No, nothing. Just came to pack my things. Oh, come on. Let it out. You might feel better. Well, how do you think I can prove that I'm telling the truth to somebody who doesn't believe me? Are you absolutely sure that you're telling the truth? Absolutely. Then perhaps they might just need time to consider. Except there's no time left. Then I don't know. She shrugged her shoulders in dismay. Well, it's something at least. I tossed my winter clothing into a bag and headed to the bus stop. If a couple of days ago I'd seen the Icarus standing at the gate of the camp and waiting for pioneers, I would have been the happiest person in this reality. But right now I wasn't in the mood to rejoice. There was still plenty of time left until the bus departure time. I sat down on the curb and buried my head in my hands. Why so sad? A familiar voice pulled me out of my thoughts. Just had a fight with Slavia? You could say that. And what's the reason? She doesn't believe that I'm an alien from the future. I smiled ironically. I wouldn't believe it either, said Lena seriously. If I were in your shoes, neither would I. It's not a big deal. You'll make up from a quarrel. Yeah, but there's not much time left to... Left to what? To make the right choice. After a while, the whole camp assembled together at the bus stop. Everyone's here? Began Olga Dmitrievna. You're leaving our camp today, and I'd like to tell you something in parting. She was visibly nervous and desperately lost for words. I hope that you remember the time you spent here for a lifetime, and that you will retain only pleasant memories about Slavyana. I also hope that you become at least a little bit better, managed to learn something, and found new friends. Just come back next year. The camp leader turned away. It seems she was trying to hold back her tears. I didn't expect her to get so emotional, although her speech sounded like a complete nonsense to me, as usual. Of course, this is where I met Slavia, but now we were going through a tough time, and what will happen next is absolutely unclear. So I didn't care about whether I'll miss this place in Olga Dmitrievna or not. Unlikely. When the pioneers started to get on the bus, I pushed through the crowd to Slavia. Let's sit together. Okay, she said quietly. I even thought that I saw the shadow of a smile on her face. The bus flew across the expanses of my new world. Outside, fields followed forests, and then calm rivers and highlands. I felt as familiar with all this as if it was my own homeland. Anyway, the surroundings were the least of my concerns now. I was trying hard to find the right words to start a conversation. We'd just been sitting there, probably for a couple of hours, but all attempts to strike up a conversation had ended with one-word answers. Forget about what I said before. I don't want to make excuses or say it's not true. It's just now, the most important thing to me is you. I understand. She looked at me carefully. Even if I sometimes act the wrong way and talk nonsense, regardless, the main thing for me now is to be with you, and it always will be. I understand that I acted too recklessly and planned stupid ventures, but we can try to make everything right, together, you and me. Sadia was still gazing at me. Do you realize that it will be difficult, that you can't just run blindly into the dark, because then there will be so many problems that we won't be able to solve? Yes, I understand that now, but for you, I am prepared for anything. She didn't say a word, but just kissed me gently and put her head on my shoulder. It definitely meant yes. I didn't want to bother her anymore. Let her sleep. The point is that Slavia finally understood me, understood what she means to me. She realized that I'll do anything for her sake. And even if I'm overreacting or deciding too early, she's ready to put me on the right path. The path that we'll walk together. Night started to claim its rights and the bus settled down to sleep. At first I tried to fight it, but is there any use in enduring and wasting my efforts when the future had finally become crystal clear for me? My eyes shut just for a moment. Hmm. Oh, there are dreams that you don't. Here, I was about to leave, but suddenly someone emerged from the solid white veil and ran under the bus stop roof. It was clearly a girl, as she had a long ponytail hanging out of her hood. She stood with her back to me so I couldn't make out her face. "Excuse me, has the last bus already left?" she asked without turning to me. Where can she be heading to so late? The 410 must be the most cursed route in this city. Not only does it sometimes take people away to another reality, but it can't even arrive when you want it to. There is one more bus coming, just after midnight, I think. Thank you. The smile was clear in her voice. For some time, I just sat silently examining the girl. Finally, she spoke. "Where are you going so late?" "Is it really that interesting for her?" "Just having a walk," I answered thoughtfully. "And you, are you here for something important?" "Well, not really. Just going home." "Where do you live?" I couldn't help asking. "Far away," she said vaguely. "And I live nearby. It's a good area." I would say there couldn't be a worse one. I didn't have too many options. "You don't like it?" "Don't know. I got used to it by now." "I think that people can be happy anywhere they want." "Perhaps." "Well, think of it. People live even at the North Pole, and stations, I mean. And in the Sahara Desert, and in many other places. It's the people themselves that are the most important." It's difficult to disagree with you. My comment sounded so philosophical that I unconsciously smiled. "You don't sound too honest to me." "Now, why would you say that, madam?" She laughed quietly. "I think you're a good person." Now she turned and... Whoa! I rose while her voice, stature, and everything else seemed familiar to me. Ooh, Slavia stood in front of me. For a moment, I lost the ability to speak, but just for a moment. Of course, it could just be a girl who looks like Slavia from my dream. Or am I experiencing the strongest deja vu? This city is not a pioneer camp. I'm not wearing a uniform, and it's not summer now. Trying to convince myself that it's just an illusion, I decided to ask her question. "Have we met before?" She carefully inspected me and smiled. "I don't think so, but your face seems familiar. Had you ever been to a pioneer camp as a kid?" "Of course not," she laughed. "When I was born, they'd already been disbanded." "Oh, right. Although, I had a dream recently." She thought for a second. "Me too. I mean, about the pioneer camp. Maybe that is where we've met." The girl said seriously. "Possibly. By the way, my name is Slavia. Actually, my full name is Slavyana, but everyone calls me Slavia. You can do that too." I was about to tell her that I know, but then I stopped short. After all, is it that important to know why Slavia from my dream is standing right here, right now in front of me, at this frozen stop of the charmed bus number 410? After all, there are dreams that you don't want to wake up from. And mine is Semyon. What a lovely name. Starts with an S too. "Yeah. So you live far away, don't you?" "Well, not really." She named a district. "I thought it would be somewhere in the south." "Why?" "Don't know. Maybe because you look like a pioneer." "Oh, you and your pioneers." Slavia laughed. "Maybe we would never meet if not for them." "Why?" Her expression became serious. "Just a joke." "Listen, do you agree that the world exists because we believe in it? That's like some kind of subjective idealism." Slavia thought for a bit. "The school of philosophy became close to me recently." "Well, I don't know. I'm not that good with these subjects." "What are your subjects then?" She smiled. "Different ones." "No doubt. But it's just been a few minutes since we met." "But it seems like it's been much longer." "For some reason, I got the same feeling." An awkward pause followed. The snowfall has eased, but was still no bus. I looked at my watch and assumed that it won't arrive at all. Slavia seemed to feel even colder by now, as her cheeks grew more red and her hands were now moving frenetically, trying to warm her body. "Seems like the 410 bus is done for today." "I guess," she said sadly. "If you want," I started after pulling myself together. "What?" "You can stay at my place." "But we've just met." She laughed. She didn't seem frightened even a tiny bit. "Yes, I understand, but it's so cold outside." "Aren't you afraid?" Savia looked at me playfully. Me? Should I be? Who knows? Who knows? I just suggested it. Don't think anything of that sort. I started to make excuses. I understand, she laughed. If you don't mind, of course. Even though it seemed impossible, she flushed even more. Should we go? Let's wait a bit longer. Maybe it will arrive. Okay. So what do you do in your spare time? Slavia asked after a while. Well, work at home, kinda. I just couldn't tell her that I do nothing. Sounds good. Why? Don't know. You have a lot of free time. You don't have to go anywhere, and so on. And you? I asked, trying to change the subject somehow. I'm studying. Getting an ethnographer's degree. What is that? Slavia asked seriously. Never mind. What the? Yeah. I'll be an ecologist. Yeah. Well, a career to be proud of. We chatted about random things, and the bus was still nowhere to be seen. It was past 1 already. Time passed by so fast. I guess Slavia misunderstood my thoughts. Shall we go? She smiled. I stood up and headed slowly towards my house. She carefully held onto my arm and looked into my eyes. You know, I'm sure that this year will be better than the previous one. Ooh. Okay, nice. Every story has its beginning and its end. Every story has its own outline, synopsis, contents, key points, a prologue, and an epilogue. And there's no book which, if you read it again, would not reveal new details you didn't notice before. Every story has its beginning and its end. Almost every. Okay, one more. One more. Oh. Love you. I draw a heart. Yeah. I like Slavia. That was a really romantic one too. Very cute. Now what? Are you going to pack? Yeah, I guess so. And you? It's not like I've got much to pack. Indeed, it was the truth. Care to help me then? Okay, sure, why not? She started to pull her clothes out of the cabinets and stack them on her bed. Watch it, you'll mess up everything. It's okay, I'll wash them at home. T-shirts, skirts, shorts, dresses, shoes, trainers, underwear. The pile of clothes was growing and growing. You already brought all this stuff here on your own? Considering Ulyana's constitution, it was hard to believe. Yes, of course, she laughed. Come on, give me a hand. We started to pack up the clothes into a big bag. I tried to pack things carefully at first, but after realizing it's pointless, resorted to just stuffing everything in to make it all fit. At last, there were no more clothes on the bed, and we even somehow managed to zip up the bag. So that's it. Yeah, I looked at the clock. It was about 40 minutes till the departure time. You know, it was fun. Meaning? Well, the last week was fun. Yeah, I said absentmindedly. Don't you think so? Why? It sounded sort of insincere to me. Well, I must admit that I'm not exactly walking on air, yeah. But what didn't you like? It's not like I can spit out everything at once. You see, a few moments were, how can I put it, a little unexpected. Ah, you're so boring, said Ulyana and turned away from me. Well, what did you expect from me? You sound like you've got absolutely nothing to remember later. Yeah, there sure is plenty to remember. I gleamed. Yep, that's what I'm saying. She looked closely to me. That made me a bit uncomfortable. What now? And me, will you remember me? Sure I will, everyone. Everyone. And you most of all. I saluted, springing up to attention with my hand over my heart. That's better. However, do I really have something to remember about her? Yeah, we had a lot of adventures, but who is Ulyana for me? Just a nosy kid from another reality. On second thoughts, do I really care that much about my situation now? From the very first moment I appeared here, everything changed tremendously, so right now I was just curious about what's going to happen next. Sure, the unknown is not the most pleasant perspective, but I must admit that it's a breathtaking one. Whether I will return to my world or not is not up to me anymore. It means that I don't really have any choice. I have to adapt to the local living conditions. And one of these conditions was sitting right in front of me, smiling broadly. You know, you're not as silly as I first thought. Why do you think I'm silly in the first place? She said in an offended tone. Just kidding. You and your jokes. Alright, it's time. Let's go. Ulyana said happily and pointed at the bag. Yeah, I shouldered her belongings. The weight almost made me bend in half. I was thankful for the fact that the bus stop was just a few hundred meters away. Oh, I shoved her stuff onto the bus and then hurried to get my own humble luggage. After some time, all the pioneers were here. Oh, everyone is here? Began Olga Dmitrievna. You're leaving our camp today, and I'd like to tell you something in parting. She was visibly nervous and desperately lost for words. I hope that you'll remember the time you spent here for a lifetime, and that you'll retain only pleasant memories about Slavyana. I also hope that you become at least a little bit better, managed to learn something, and found new friends. Just come back next year. The camp leader turned away. It seemed she was trying to hold back her tears. I wasn't expecting her to get so emotional, but I completely agreed with everything she said. Perhaps it was the first time that her words haven't just passed by my ears. And here's Ulyana. She's here now. Soon enough, everyone boarded the bus. I took the last seat, next to Ulyana. The first row was taken by Slavia and Zenya, then a little closer to us, Lena, Miku, Electronic, and Shurik were playing cards. Alisa slouched in her seat alone, 2 rows from us. There was no partner for her. It turned out a bit embarrassing for your neighbor. It's fine. You helped me to get ready and brought my stuff here. I looked at her closely. It seems this little demon had changed her attitude towards me in a radical way. Could it be that I'm a friend to her? An odd word that seemed to have lost its meaning for me ages ago. I can't recall any of my acquaintances, when I still had them, who I could call friends. Maybe even back when I was at school. And now someone considers me a friend? Anyway, what does it all mean to me? I always felt more comfortable thinking about abstract stuff, distant perspectives, and global matters than of simple, ordinary issues. And indeed, during all the time I've spent in this camp, I've managed to become close friends with Ulyana. She awakened these long-forgotten feelings in me, because this is what it means to be buddies or friends. I smiled and tousled her hair gently. And what's that for? She puffed her lips. Just because. Her? Will you marry when I grow up? Sure. I'll hold you to that. Okie dokie. Let's go join them at cards? Why not? We gathered around the suitcase that was being used as a table. Soon Alisa joined us. I was laughing a lot, cracking jokes, and just enjoying being a state one usually calls happiness. A simple happiness here and now. Right now, this bunch of pioneers that I've managed to befriend in this short week were a million times more important to me than finding out how I came to this world and how to get out of here. In the end, should I even bother trying to get back? It was getting dark. The game was long over and the pioneers had returned to their seats. I had no idea how long it would take to get to the district center, but it seemed like an eternity. From beyond the bus windows, only pitch darkness was looking back at me, almost consuming the entire world, compressing to only the size of the Icarus's cabin. Anyway, the surroundings were the least of my concerns now. I was enjoying the moment. It seems that this reality is completely normal. And does it really matter how I got here if things turn out this great? I became another person and met new friends. What are you thinking about? About life. And how is it going? Just awesome. Ulyana laughed quietly. I don't have a place to return to, so I can choose any life path I want. Yes, we will part ways soon, and I'll probably never see most of them again, but we will stay friends forever. A pleasant warmth flowed through my body. I felt like a kid again. Ulyana put her head on my shoulder and quickly fell asleep. Sometimes you may feel tired, not only because of hard work or sad feelings, but also because of fun, joy, and happiness. You may probably even want to continue, but have no energy to, with your soul demanding time to rest and your body asking for calm. I fell asleep with a smile on my face. Here. The bell rang. My classmate stood up, said his goodbyes, and left. I started packing my exercise books and textbooks into my backpack when I suddenly heard someone's voice in front of me. Excuse me, is this the 34th lecture hall? There's a sign on the door. No, there's not. The girl's voice sounded offended. Someone must have removed it. So, is it the 34th? Yeah. At last I closed the backpack and raised my head, intending to stand up. Oh. Huh. The girl looked terribly familiar. Haven't we... Yes, I thought the same. She looked very surprised. But I don't remember where I could have met you. Neither do I. What year are you in? First year. Oh, still pretty much green. The girl smiled. Everything is still ahead of me. As if I'm already past everything. And what about you? Fourth. So is it difficult to study? For the first year it is. I knew it, she said in an upset manner. But it gets easier with time. It's always easier when you get used to it. Sometimes I'm too lazy to do things. Yeah, that also happens. Do you still have any stuff from the first year? If you share it, it'll be easier for me to prepare for examinations. Obviously I had nothing, but my first year was finished a long time ago. But I suddenly felt a strong desire to ask for a phone number, so I lied. Yes, maybe. But I'll have to check. That's great. We exchanged our telephone numbers. My name is Semyon. What should I call you? Ulyana. And then I realized who this girl reminded me of. Exactly, she's Ulyana, just around 5 years older. For a moment I was lost for words. What? It's an ordinary name. That was Lenon's name. She was pouting. No, just, have you ever been to a pioneer camp? When I was a kid. Why are you asking? In the blink of an eye, all the events that happened in Slavyana flashed in front of my eyes. So it wasn't a dream. Although they were just summer camps, not pioneer ones. Ulyana added. So you weren't wearing a uniform? The one with a red neckerchief? Of course not. Fashion police will wear it. She laughed loudly. But why are you asking? I was about to tell her everything, but then realized that she would just consider me a psycho. After all, this girl is much older than the Ulyana I remembered. Maybe she just looks like her. I had a dream, and I think I saw you there. A kind of deja vu. Deja what? It's when one sees something for the first time, but believes that he has seen it before. Well, now that you mention it, her face became serious. I think I've seen you somewhere as well. Definitely. Maybe it's that thing you just said. An interesting coincidence, don't you think? I don't know. Anyway, I'll give you a call. I'll see you. She laughed and ran out of the room. Appearance, behavior, way of talking. She's definitely that exact Ulyana. So does that mean that the dreaming is coming true? I can't help but enjoy it. And above all, I'll see this forever cheerful girl again, for sure. Yeah. Every story has its beginning and its end. Every story has its own outline, synopsis, contents, key points, prologue, and epilogue. And there is no book which, if you read it again, would not reveal new details you didn't notice before. Every story has its beginning and its end. Almost every. There. Okay, that's all of the good endings. Oh, she was a good kid. they're done. Okay. Lena and Slavia were good. I like them a lot. They're pretty good. Alisa is also pretty good too. And Miku was good. Girl was a little different than I expected it to be, but it was good too. Yeah, a lot of good characters in this. I enjoyed it. A little more still left. Okay. Bye.